RJ, where do you even begin after a game like that, where the Kraken pick up an 8-2 win to kick off the road trip? This game against Montreal, just absolutely dominant. There's so many things, different things to talk about from like personal accomplishment standpoint in this one. But I mean, really, the big thing is just you get rid of the 3-game losing skid in a big way, and you kick off the road trip the right way.
Right. I think the number one thing to come out of this game is as as unfun as it sounds compared to the rest of it, you get 2 points and you end the losing streak, and that's the most important thing. But you sure do it in style. Basically, putting this game away in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
This game was over after 10 minutes. The Kraken put in the work. Montreal had a bad start and they were able to close it out too. But there are so many different things you can talk about with this one, whether it's, Montour's hat trick, all 19 skaters finally having a point. One thing that I think will get really overshadowed, but Joey Daccord's excellent performance in goal. They were just so good in every different facet of the game. And I'm sure as we hop into chat, we'll get into all those different areas, but just, I mean, a near perfect game.
Yeah, Chandler Stevenson with 4 assists, not something you see very often for a player, so that was cool to see. Yeah, no, there's a lot to get into here, and this really goes to the point I was making yesterday on the podcast, right? This year's Kraken team is a team that's going to play good teams close, and they're going to beat up on bad teams. And tonight was a great example of them really beating up a bad team, probably in the biggest way that we've seen from them this season.
I think so. I mean, 8 goals, the score line, you can't really argue with it. And I know if we dive a little deeper into like the expected goals and everything, but I don't think that tells the full story. I think if you watched the game, you saw one team beating up on another.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So let's go ahead and go into chat because that will naturally lead us to everything. As you said, first things first, got a super chat here from Kraken fan. Thank you very much, Kraken fan. Whoever told me that I'd regret drafting Monty for my fantasy team is eating their words now. I mean, we've talked a lot this season, RJ, about Brandon Montour and what he brings to this group. Tonight, picking up the natural hat trick, first hat trick in his NHL career, 4-point night for Brandon Montour. I mean, this really was like him going to a big market in Canada and being like, "Hey, guess what? I'm still rocking things out there on the West Coast now that I've left Florida."
Right. And I think this is something that's going to catch a lot of the league's attention. There's more eyes on these games when you're up there in Canada. I mean, as you are
As
actually
I
right
am,
now, you are in Canada at the moment, and hockey is just bigger there and there's more of a spotlight. And Brandon Montour showed out in this one. Yes, he gets the hat trick, but again, it's just so many of the other things in different areas of the ice. He was everywhere. And I think Canadian hockey fans and a lot of the Eastern hockey markets, right, got to see what we've seen from him really all season, what he's been able to do as far as just driving play for the Kraken. And I mean, I know Striatic will probably come in here and ask us what our favorite goal was. Do you have a favorite Montour goal from that hat trick real quick?
I mean, the last one was pretty great because you knew they were trying to set it up and they were trying to make it happen, and then they get it, and it was just a powerful slap shot from him, right? Just trying to be emphatic, like, yes, I'm getting this natural hat trick. That's pretty great.
Yeah, I still got to go with the second one because of how nice that set play was off the face-off. I'm a sucker for those set plays.
Yeah, I mean, I like the second one, the first one too. Like just him finding a lane and just taking a shot, right? Like just walk the blue line, find a lane, throw it on net, see what happens, right? Like all of them were fantastic from him tonight. Care to guess his ice time though, RJ?
I'm probably lower than I would think because the score was so lopsided. What, like 21 minutes, I'm guessing?
1750.
Oh, man.
So by far
As
and
it
away,
should be in
though,
a game like
like
this.
yes, absolutely. But like that is substantially less. That's about 7 minutes less than what we're used to seeing from him. It feels like so. That was
Yeah,
that's pretty big there for sure.
efficient.
Very efficient. B with the next one here, next super chat here. Thank you very much, B. Shout out to my boy Joey because the score aside, he had yet another great game. It's not like the Habs didn't have their chances, but Joey stood tall. Joey did stand tall. Joey made some insane saves in this one, RJ.
Right. And I'm glad you brought that up, B, because that was one thing I wanted to make sure we didn't miss with this 8-2 scoreline was just how well Joey Daccord played. Because even though it was 3-0, 4-0 early, Montreal put on a good push after that, and they controlled most of the play afterwards. The Kraken didn't go full on turtle mode, but they didn't really produce a whole lot in the other team's zone. And Joey just was solid through the whole thing. He didn't let anyone back into it. And I looked up the numbers. So according to Natural Stat Trick, who I trust a little bit more on the expected goal side of things, Joey saved over 3 goals more than he should have tonight based on shot quality that Montreal got. And I mean, I think that tells a lot of the story.
Probably two and a half of those just on their power play chances, right? Because like a lot of this, the PK, yes, I believe it looked perfect. I don't think that Anderson one at the end was a power play goal. Maybe it was.
I don't know. It wasn't.
No, it wasn't. So the PK unit was perfect tonight on paper, but again, we saw a lot of the kind of passive stuff from them. They weren't doing a good job of sitting in lanes. Montreal was able to make a lot of passes into dangerous areas. They were able to get shots from those dangerous areas. Joey really was the last line of defense tonight with those, and I think that's where a lot of those goals saved above expected is coming from, is off of the PK. But still, it doesn't take away from it. It just shows like how impactful he was on this game tonight. He was truly fantastic in this one for sure. Rayanne with the Hattie super chat there, which I love. To keep that going. Yeah, it was really cool for him, and you could tell that he wanted it, and the team really wanted him to have it. And it's nice that the game was kind of far enough gone, RJ, that they were able to just kind of push for it.
Yeah, that was nice. And also, Dylan, I got to bring it up too. I'm sure you loved Adam Larson throwing his helmet on the ice. Did you see that?
I did. That
Yeah.
was pretty cool. And there's lots of people in chat talking about throwing their hats at the TV and stuff like that. And there was a decent amount of them. It looked like there in Montreal.
Yeah, no, there were a few that hit the ice. I know Lars was probably just trying to take care of it just in case and for a road game if no hats made it down there. But I think that really shows that the team, the chemistry, the vibes, it's all coming together, right? You see teammates so happy for somebody else and the success that they're having. That's one of those signs of a really strong, tight-knit team.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that a lot of that credit, I mean, it goes to the team. I think having Eberle in there as captain has helped. I think the fact that it was Montour, we know what he's kind of done to help change some of that culture in the locker room and just be a glue guy for that locker room and somebody that they can all get behind. So I think that it helps that it was also him, and he's just kind of universally beloved by everybody. But it's also the coaching staff, right? I mean, you weren't in there for the last 2 games at home there after those losses, but Dan comes into those press conferences, and even after that Carolina game, which was a tough loss, he still finds a way to find things to smile about, say positive things about his team, talk about the good things that they did. And you gotta think that just kind of adds to them and their confidence and helps kind of pick them up after a rough game like that last one, and then prime them for something like this immediately after.
Right. I mean, it has to. And we heard that from Dan, right? In just the way that he's reacted to when the games haven't maybe even gone the best. Like, this is a really tight knit team that believes in what they can do and believes in themselves. And they knew it was going to turn around sooner rather than later. I don't think any of them really imagined to this degree so soon, but still, you'll take it.
Yes. Sean with the next super chat here with the third star, Jaden Schwartz, second star, Chandler Stevenson, and then first, come on, right? And that is actually what they ended up going with there for the stars of the game. I'm a little disappointed Joey didn't quite get in there. I think if that second goal doesn't happen for Montreal, Joey's probably third star.
I agree. Even though on that second goal, there's still nothing he could do. If I'm going to be a little nitpicky, I'm like, come on, guys, like just a little bit better for your goalie at the end there. I know it's easy to let off the gas, but still, in a game where there are so many points scored, it's going to be hard to ignore a 4-point performance by Chandler Stevenson. Did Schwartz have 3 or 4?
Schwartz
But he must have had
3.
a lot. Yeah, 3-point performance by Jaden Schwartz. So a lot of players deserving of stars in this game. It's hard to pick, but I can't argue with Sean's picks.
I was going to say, and speaking of like the late game stuff, for everybody who's been asking about the idea of 2 defensemen on the power play, you got it tonight with that Borgen Mahura look.
Yes.
Probably not what everybody was asking for, but they got it.
Yep. It's some different formations you can experiment with, right? When you're up by that much, maybe Dan pulls into that later. I don't think so.
Yeah. Coop with the next super chat here. This new staff is night and day from the hack regime. Kraken having, using, and scoring on set plays off of a face-off win. Shout out Jess and Disco Dan and the rest. I mean, you were talking about it. You love the set face-off plays. RJ, go for it.
I think that's my favorite goal of the whole game. And I love the set play because the way this one is drawn up too, it almost looks like a football play with the misdirection that you're using, right? It's not just, okay, guys, go to a certain area, but we're going to try and steer the opponent into a certain area by moving the puck a certain way. And so off the face-off, you have the face-off win to Jaden Schwartz along the boards, and immediately he's going to look toward the middle and kind of telegraph that pass over to Jamie Alexiak. It's fine because he can make that pass before any Habs can get up closer to him. But the fact that he's looking that way and it's so clear where the puck and where all the players are going to, you have Shane Wright taking the face off, Oliver Bjorkstrand the other wing. They're both going to the middle, to that side toward Jamie Alexiak. And so it's steering all the Montreal players to that side, which lets Brandon Montour just kind of slip behind. Nobody's really looking his direction, and he just sneaks down there. And of course, Alexiak knows that's coming. And I love how Wright and Bjorkstrand too, they back off a little bit toward the net, which creates that lane. It's the kind of thing you'd see a football coach draw up to get a receiver open with the routes that you're having other receivers do. You make that pass through, and also Montour takes the first shot, doesn't even score on it, but everybody's pulled so far out of position, he's able to just skate and get the rebound and put it home.
Yeah, he's able to stick with the play, which obviously is huge because it is then able to get the finish. It is, of course, the one game I'm not like at home where I have my coaching book.
I know the whiteboard would be perfect.
It's literally the textbook example of like a backside slide play to your other defenseman, right? And just opening them up, having them sneak down behind everybody, getting that lane open to them, and being able to make that pass across to them where just nobody has picked them up because the winger, this is why you shouldn't pay wingers a ton of money, because they let stuff like this happen in the defensive zone. No, but it's a good example of a backside slide play. It's pretty textbook, but it's something that we've seen the Kraken work on a lot in practice. Haven't seen them necessarily pull it off, at least not to this degree in a game. So I was really happy to kind of see them finally work that into the rotation, because if you're going to be a team that has defensemen like Brandon Montour, Vince Dunn, Riker Evans, or even a Will Borgen could probably pull off that play. And based on you talking about their face-off skill, their shootout skills, maybe even a Jamie Alexiak and an Adam Larson, so you could just say you got 6 guys that could pull off that play. It's something that, yes, it would be cool to see them kind of work it in a little bit more if and when possible for them.
Yeah, I believe those other guys, Borg and Alexiak, they can make it work. They're good enough.
Yep. Schultz, with the super chat here, the no done, no offense fears can be put to bed now. Total domination. Maddie with third Hattie and Kraken, Monty with third Hattie in Kraken history. I wouldn't have picked that. Yes, it's not often that you get the defenseman with the hat trick there, RJ. But I mean, heck, if somebody is going to do it, Brandon Montour is the guy to do it.
Yeah, he would be the guy. And yeah, I mean, this has got to be the most goals they've ever scored without Vince Dunn. I don't think I need to double check that one. There's only been a few games where they've scored 8 or more to begin with.
I was going to say, you might be wrong, because was it? I'm trying to remember for that Kings game, the 9-8.
Did they have Vince Dunn? They must have.
Was Vince Dunn in that game? Because was that the game that Riker was like on the sheet for playing and then he didn't play, or was that the one where he was for Dunn? I'm trying to remember too. Well, that was year 2. That would have been year 2, right? And then
No, Dunn was there. He played 24 and a half minutes.
Yeah, I was going to say, because Dunn didn't miss a game until the end. He was kind of pulled from that Arizona game. So yeah. But that was the only other time I could think of them scoring that many. So I just wanted to make sure. I think that was the weird Riker Evans game.
Yeah, the Arizona game actually. No, Dunn was there for that Arizona game where they scored 8. Also, that was at home. So yeah.
Well, I meant the one where he was healthy scratched and everybody wanted him to play.
Yes. Yeah. But anyway, it does put a lot of those fears to rest. I think some of it, I hate to bring this up, but I think there was also some bad goaltending on the other side and some bad defense. So I don't know how sustainable that is if your opponent plays decently at all, but still, it's a good sign. I'm not trying to pour cold water on this, but it has to be acknowledged.
I was going to say, Montreal is really not a good team. Like when I said they beat up on a bad team, they really beat up on a bad team, right? Like emphasis on bad in this. Well, really beat and bad.
Yes.
And so there is that element to it. So I would caution some of that. I think where Vince Dunn makes the difference is in the games against like a Colorado or a Winnipeg, and then you're able to flip that result, and then really you're establishing yourself as a pretty solid playoff team at that point.
Exactly. And
Uh,
Light's kind of getting to that with the next
yeah.
super chat too.
Yes, yes. Light with this next one. Not to sound too not happy with the win. The Habs are one of the worst defensive teams in the NHL. This kind of needed to be the result for a legit team, right? And then again, this goes back to my point that I was trying to make yesterday on the podcast, which is they are more legit than last year in the sense that they do take care of business. It's not a struggle for them to take care of business. They just take care of business, and tonight's an example of that.
And you look at last year's Kraken team too. They played Montreal twice over the course of the season. And that Montreal team was not a whole lot better than this one is, right? Fairly similar caliber of team on paper. The Kraken lost to Montreal twice last year. And it felt like both of those were almost the inexcusable type of losses. And you can see the difference from last year to this one. That said, Light, you're absolutely correct. And especially in that first, 11-minute stretch, the Kraken go up 4-0. The defense was atrocious from
Yeah.
Montreal. I mean, it's some of the worst I've ever seen. Just nobody challenging the blue line, nobody stepping up and finding the puck, the slot being left wide open. Like these are just very clear things that you need to do. Things we've talked
It
about
was,
at various
yeah.
times over the Kraken's first 3 seasons, but it was just so bad.
And the other thing that I would also say is Kraken got lucky in the second half of that first period when Montreal was trying to like kind of make a push after their timeout there. Yes, Joey made some big saves there, but it was also there was a lot of puck luck with some of the bounces in and around the crease when Joey wasn't necessarily going to be in a spot to make a save. Kraken got a little lucky in this one as well. They had some puck luck on their side.
Yeah, the posts on that too. Yeah, there were a few of those as well. And so it is worth putting things in perspective where it's just such a big change when you go from the Carolina game where you're facing a good team who's playing a good game to this game where you're facing a bad team who's having a bad game.
Yes, exactly. Hopping over into chat, Jason Chandler Stevenson's "We need to play like them" comment ages well as the Kraken open up and look like the Canes in the first period. I mean, they were all over Montreal.
Yeah, they absolutely were. That pressure was exactly, what he was talking about, and that we need to play like them. You saw it on, I think the goal that exemplifies it the most was I know it. Who scored that? Bjorkstrand, right? So
Yeah.
Schwartz goes in behind. Jakai moves it back around. You force the
Yep.
turnover. You send it right in front, and you respond really quickly. And that's kind of how the Kraken were generating things early on. It looked very Carolina-like.
Yeah.
And notice Stevenson at no point said we need to play like them or do what they're doing tonight.
Yes, that is true. And yeah, he better not.
Yeah.
Any sort of post game comments. Cool. Shane Wright had 2 goals stolen from him. Great game otherwise, lol. Yes, I wanted Shane. He was out there for a lot of these goals. I was hoping he'd pick up a point, not because of the whole Montreal storyline. I know that like
Mhm.
that's a thing that exists, but just because like this is a great game where everybody's getting something to maybe help get Shane going a little bit.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I mean, we talked about it on the podcast a little bit too. What can they do to get Shane going? Just to kind of get him to feel like he can step up and produce a little bit more and not even like playing a ton better because he was within maybe 10 feet of the goal crease on like 4 of the goals at least.
He
He's right
facilitated a
there.
lot of them. Yes, he just
He
did not
did.
collect a point on them.
But I think what we both want to see is just him, get points on more of those rather than facilitate, be the
Yeah,
creator, not the facilitator.
exactly, exactly. That being said, him being out there and making space for other guys, allowing them to score, it is leading to team success. So it's hard to get too mad at him because he is still playing well. It's just again for him to take that next step and become that player the Kraken kind of need him to be long term. You want to see him kind of take advantage of games like this where the defense is going to kind of let you get away with whatever you want to get away with.
Yeah,
Uh, Clayton, I liked this one. I tossed my hat at the TV for the hat trick if that counts for anything. I think it counts for a lot. I think that's
it
awesome.
does. It does. We should all participate, I think.
Yes.
When a hat trick happens, you got to do what you can.
Oh, absolutely. Daniel, happy no one got hurt at the end. Yes, I'm kind of happy that it didn't go as off the rails as it could have there. Right. I know Montreal, like there was a little bit of stuff there at the end, but for the most part, both teams just wanted to get out of there that third period.
Right. And I think the officials did a good job of making sure it didn't boil over. They called plenty of penalties late,
Yeah.
even though you have some of those late power plays, which might delay the game finishing a little bit, but it makes sure it doesn't boil over.
Right, you get the misconduct and get that guy out of there and all that kind of stuff. So, love it. Andrew, the goals will continue until morale improves. Take it.
Yeah, I'd say morale is pretty improved, although the goals can still continue, but morale
Yes.
must be improved a little bit.
Yes. Striatic with the what was your favorite goal? We talked about favorite Montour goals. Is that your favorite goal of the game? That play from
Yeah,
for
it
the
is.
second Montour goal?
That's my favorite one.
I like the Bjorkstrand one a lot just because again, like that's the stuff that this team needs to do and they have the pieces to do, which is just um, or no, it was that one where it's
Mhm.
just, kind of go in and then throw a puck into the slot, right? Like go in, collect it, throw it out to the slot, hit the guy as he's coming in and just score the goal, right? Like just take care of business in that way. I think that was that one. There's so
Yeah,
many.
it was.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was. Yeah. And that's just something that like that's what we were begging them to do last season. And so whenever I see it, I feel compelled to highlight it because that's the way they should be playing. Um, Rebecca, I missed 6 of the goals. Lol. Definitely have to go back and rewatch. Yes, you're gonna have to rewatch this one. It was a good one, Rebecca, for sure.
yeah.
Uh,
Lots of goals in this. I'm trying to keep them all straight in my head. This one is tougher than usual to
yeah.
remember all the different ones that happened.
It yes, definitely, definitely. Strayak, also, do you think the Kraken's box play was sloppy or good? It got the results, but looked very shaky at times. I mentioned it earlier. I do not think that it was very good.
Yeah, I agree with that. It was pretty shaky. Yeah.
Yes. All right, now we got the super chat here, RJ. Lemon lime Gatorade time, Bay from Gregory. As always, 5 goals by defenseman. Monty with the Hattie. I believe 4 power play goals. There was 1, 2, 3, but it was basically 3 out of 4 power plays. They get a couple extra power plays that weren't going to be anything at the end there. I'm excited, and even though I'm in Toronto, I had to go out and get something. Now I was not quite able to get lemon lime Gatorade because I had to get citron lime Gatorade.
I think that's a first.
So it is effectively the same, but check it out. Canada's still rocking the awesome sport tops, RJ.
Oh
Remember
yeah,
these from
I
back in
missed
the day?
those.
I totally
Childhood
missed those. So
nostalgia.
I'm
Let's
gonna have to
go.
like load up on these and then just have to leave them at TSA at the airport because I won't be able to take them back with me.
Oh, that's right. Well, if you empty them all, if you do this, if you just
That's
chug it
true.
all right before going on the
Yeah.
plane, get as much as you can drink.
Yeah. But I don't think I've ever been able to do that. I've never been able just to for a post game, just squirt it
Yeah.
into my mouth like that there. Yeah. Like Montour in the penalty box.
Oh yeah. Okay. I was wondering if that was going to get. Oh man, of all the tweets of everything, right? He scores 3 goals, he gets a hat trick. I post all the video clips. That one's going to do the most numbers by
Yeah.
far.
Yeah.
And yeah, way too many bookmarks on that one, everybody.
Yep.
Come
Yep.
on.
Definitely. Super chat here from Jenna. I dedicate that Monty hat trick to my main guy. Yes. I shudder to think what this game would have looked like if Vince Dunn was in the lineup. It would have been big. Like this
Oh
game
yeah,
would have been.
Dylan, a quick follow-up question for you. Did you bring the 5 gum with you? Were you able to bring that up with you to Canada?
I have to check to see if it's in this backpack. It might be in the backpack, my old backpack that's still in LA.
Like, did it get rerouted to Montreal
I
somehow?
was gonna say it obviously is in Montreal, but
Yeah.
I do have to see, but I think it's in LA, so I don't think I have
Okay.
it, unfortunately. It's getting a little old too, by the way. The 5 gun, not the bit getting old, like the gum itself. The last time I
Yeah.
had it, it was not
Just
great.
disintegrates into pieces.
Yeah, yeah, it wasn't great. I will be honest about that. Coming back over into this Christian, great game with all the goals given away. Just wish Shane got one of those. I know there's a lot of that kind of in here. And like we said, it would have been nice to kind of get him going a little bit here. Rand pointing out, yes, happy birthday, Vince Dunn. That was a
Oh yeah.
heck of a birthday present for him from the team. That's pretty good. Milo, with how he's playing, Monty might get a couple more hat tricks this season. It's very possible. I mean, he had what, 16, 17 goals a couple of years ago?
Yeah, he did have a lot of goals a couple of years ago, like more than you would expect a defenseman to ever score. Hat tricks are just so rare though. I think we got to enjoy this one for what it is because you never know when you're going to see the next one. Um,
Yes.
Also at the bottom of chat here, I like Brooke in there with the Gatorade with the U, the Canadian spelling. It doesn't have the U in
I
it,
was
does
gonna
it?
say no, it doesn't on the bottle here, but otherwise it's pretty great. I was very very excited to find that coming into town here. Um, Sam, awesome Kraken dub serves the Habs right after last season's outing in CPA. I did end up being wrong with my preseason prediction of both Shane and Uri scoring, but I'll still take this result. Yes, and it looked like for a while there was going to be only one Montreal goal, and of course Slavkovsky was going to be a part of it.
Yep. I know. I was thinking about that too. And it was like, was he going to outscore Shane points wise? Is that going to be the talking point? 1 point for Slavkovsky, 0 for Shane. Montreal wins tonight.
Yep. That's definitely. I don't think that's going to end up. I mean, I watched the Montreal broadcast here because that's
Oh,
what I
yeah.
got in the hotel room, and so it was kind of interesting. They
English or en français?
it was English.
Okay.
It was heavy on the copium. It was a lot of coping through a lot of that broadcast. The broadcast. But I will say they like barely started with it at the very beginning, and then because of the way this game went, like that was a non story for the whole thing.
Yeah.
Virginia agreed about the PK. What can the Kraken do about that? So I just think all the Kraken have to do is just kind of go back to the way they've been the last couple of years, which is just be more aggressive with your defending. You still see it a little bit. Like you can tell Brandon Tanev especially wants to go out and challenge the other team when he's on the PK. He wants to go up to the point and challenge the puck carrier. He wants to pressure them and force them into making quick decisions instead of letting them really survey the ice and letting their teammates move around and kind of get open. I think you got to let them. I think you have to put them in a spot where they're having to move the puck quickly, which is going to lead to then mistakes, potential turnovers, or at the very least, them moving the puck so fast that they're moving it to somebody who's not really in a dangerous spot to score. By giving them a lot of time to set up or a lot of space to walk in and find a higher percentage shot, you're just allowing them to do what they want to do. And so I think really all the PK needs to do to stop a lot of the issues that they have right now is just start taking away time and space. It can be just that simple.
Right. And especially against a team like Montreal in this game where, yeah, they were able to be dangerous when they had time and space, but this is a very mistake prone team with players who often will try and do too much. I mean, you saw that from basically anybody who was moving around up to the point. I think you had Jared McCann get a good takeaway at one point and have a shorthanded chance. I mean, anytime Lane Hudson has the puck, he's either going to deke through somebody or turn it over. And if you just apply that pressure, you're probably going to get the turnover more often than not.
Yes. Lindsay,
Right. So we got
legally.
real quick though, I do want to get because we got a big super chat here
Okay.
from about a minute
Yeah.
ago here from Kitty B Kraken. Massive super chat, and we kind of knew this might be coming.
Oh, yeah.
Every time the Kraken score 7, we know we get this huge super chat from Kitty B Kraken. So thank you so much for that. It says 8 goals and they needed 3. Come on. And I knew you must have been concerned about that. Probably 10 minutes into this game, probably figured
Yes.
the wallet would have to open up.
Might be on track for that. But yes, thank you very much, Kitty B Kraken, for keeping that up. And I guess thanks to the Kraken too for holding up their end of the bargain.
Yep. And we got a couple more super chats down here too. Jenna, that last one was supposed to say maintenance. So the Monty hat trick dedicated to the maintenance guy.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good.
And then Kraken fan we just witnessed a full Monty.
Yeah, that's good. That's really solid. Let's see. Light, I'm enjoying it. Let's see. Oh, that's for something else. Coop, Monty said he played Future in locker room. Monty being a Future fan was not on my bingo card.
Yeah. I mean, he is the locker room DJ, and I know he tries to please everybody too. He talked about how important that is. You know, you have the guys who maybe like more of the hip hop, you have some guys who like country, and I think he said and then you have the Europeans. He just said that. So you got to, it's something for everybody.
Yep. Lindsay, legally they have to change the name to Montreal now. Montreal. That's the
we'll
law.
Workshop it.
Yes. We'll keep workshopping it, but that is true. And then Sean loved Ebb stepping to Wi-Fi. Very glad nothing came of that. Of course, Lowell. Yeah, when Jacky laid that big hit on Matty, thought it was a clean hit. And what I loved about it is Jordan Eberle being the captain, standing up for the young players, line mate there, goes in. Very big mismatch there. Arbor Xhekaj versus Jordan Eberle. What my favorite part about it though is if you go back and you watch it, watch what Matty does when he comes in, when Eberle and Xhekaj are together. Because what Matty does is he comes in and he's trying to grab Eberle and pull Eberle away because he's like, this is not going to end well for you, bro.
It's okay. You've made
Yeah,
your point. It's
yeah.
fine. I've been defended. Yeah, that is great. As I'm looking back at the video, you're right. He's trying to get him out of there. He's like,
He
it's okay.
literally
You've
comes in.
done enough.
He's like, no, this let's not like go down this road, baby. This might not be a good idea for you.
Yeah. But I do
Uh,
like that from Eberle too. And I'm not always the biggest fan of going after somebody after a clean hit because I do think it was a clean hit. But given the score
yeah,
of the game and that things were getting a little chippier too, at least just getting in a guy's face and sending that message and being unafraid to do it to a guy who's so much bigger than you, where
yeah.
you can be in real trouble. That's captain material.
It is, and it's again, it also is another example of the culture around the team this year. And that was actually something that my girlfriend had brought up, which was that probably doesn't happen last year.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know that Jordan Eberle does that last year, and
I don't think so.
I don't think he does. And so I think it just kind of shows that like they are more of a unit right now. Like they are that culture is there. They are looking out for each other, and that's good to see. And then also just on the Matty Beniers front, I mean, Matty, like the controlled zone entries, RJ, they are just chef's kiss from him right now, and it's just so consistent. I love it.
I know that the improved skating is just leading to some awesome zone entries from him. And I think that confidence is just going to build and build and build because part of it is just the will to go attack the blue line like that. A lot of players will try and kind of give up the puck earlier and not stick with it, but he knows he can get it done right now. And he just keeps doing it.
Yep, yep. From Marina here, can't stay for long because the puck is about to drop for the Sharks. But I just want to point out that even with done on LTIR, Kraken have found themselves leading the league with goals from defensemen. I think more than anything, RJ, right? Kraken are able to jump out to that early lead, really dominate that first 10 minutes, kind of put the game away, it felt like. Although Montreal did do a good job of kind of making a push at the later parts of that first period. Thought maybe they could get back into it the way they were playing and the way the Kraken were playing. But really, the most surprising part about all that is it kicks off with goals from two defensemen.
I know. And I think the lesson to be learned from that too is just good things happen when you put pucks and bodies to the net because they weren't the prettiest goals, right? You have that Alexiak goal where he just kind of throws one on net and Matheson's focused on the guy going to the net. And so it kind of hits him and goes off. And then the second one, I think it was Matty Beniers who was doing the little flyby screen and Montembeault was not able to track it from the point. But those are the kind of, that's like how you manufacture goals, right? In a way, when you don't maybe necessarily have star players to go and manufacture goals for you, you get set up in the offensive zone, you work it to the point, you throw it in, and you try and generate a screen by getting traffic to the front. Like I do like those goals for that reason.
Yeah, no, I mean it's again, it's so much of what we talked about last year about what that team could do to potentially turn things around, and they were just never really able to do it. And it's kind of crazy that it's made such a big difference and impact this year, and it's kind of helped everything really, right? But it's so simple, right? It's literally just throwing pucks to the net, putting bodies in front of the net, go to the net. Like that's how we said it like a billion times last year. And these are all just like I was talking about earlier with like the Bjorkstrand goal, right? It's just throw it to the slot, have somebody in the slot. Like you can just do that. It's really simple actually, and it's gonna produce. Like that's the way. That's what it does. Hockey can be a simple game if you let it be. And I think this team has really done a good job of just playing confident and then kind of playing simple hockey or even stuff like the face-off play, right? That you're talking about. Like I said, that's not like a new concept. That's a very basic like textbook from like a textbook I literally had to coach youth hockey, 12-year-olds, right? And they're pulling it off at the NHL level, and it's just showing like you can, if you just execute things well, you can play a simple game and it's going to really work out for you. Light, there's here with this another super chat. Thank you very much, Light. Also, not enough people are talking about how McCann is almost an assist a game player right now. He's going to set a hard to beat franchise point record. Yes, McCann continues it in this one. RJ isn't able to pick up a goal, although he did have some good chances, but he is able to continue to rack up some points, picking up, I think, a pair of assists tonight.
Yep, 2 assists for Jared McCann tonight, and a lot of that was work he put in. We just talked about those plays from the point. The second goal, right, where Jared McCann just goes back and forth with Lane Hudson trying to get that puck off him. He can't do it, but he rims the puck around to who was it at the point? Was it Riker at the point on that second one who
yes.
shoots it in? But it's that kind of work that Jared McCann is putting into all of these goals. And you're seeing it in the point production. He's got 14 points in 10 games at this point. That's a 114 point pace over the course of a season. I don't think he'll maybe stick to that pace, but it shows the kind of production he's putting up, and he's certainly on his way to breaking a franchise season scoring record if he keeps this up.
Yes. All right, let's try to do some like lightning round stuff because we've just got like a billion comments here. First one from Sam. Shane's underlying numbers on the game were pretty dang good, so he had a good game too, just didn't result in a point, but it'll come. Like I was saying, that's the way Shane's really been playing all year. I think it was L. Bell points out also Shane 70% on faceoffs for this game. He was 7 for 10. That's pretty good there. Storm here. Stevenson is an overpay, yes, but he plays the tough minutes and takes a lot of pressure off of Beniers and Wright so they can develop. That signing was necessary. Your thoughts on that one?
Well, he was the ice time leader in this one among the forwards, and I think there is an element of that. I still haven't fully changed my mind on Stevenson. I still think he is what he is, but like there are certain games where he really provides that value.
Yes. Daniel, funny, the only other defenseman to have 2-goal games for the Kraken, Carson Soucy, Hayden Fleury, and Justin Schultz.
Oh, remember the Hayden Fleury game?
I do remember the Hayden Fleury game. That was crazy. Love that, though. Let's see. Kraken have the most goals from defenders in the whole NHL now. From Coop, I do like seeing that. I like it. It's a good identity for this group.
And if you're going to spend this much money on the blue line too, like they have one of the more expensive blue lines in the league, this is what I want to see out of it.
Yes. Mahura low-key is fitting in nicely from JTB Hockey. Yes, I mean, Mahura is able to pick up a point. Late in this one, you and I were texting, you had said like the only mission left for this game was to get Mahura on the board. You can say that all the skaters have a point, and they were able to accomplish that mission there late, RJ.
Yes, I was happy to see that for Josh Mahura. I had to go back and say, wait, yes, he did make the pass. Okay, they've all got a point. I had the tweet I was sitting on. So that's good for him. But I think the ultimate sign of how well Josh Mahura is playing is how little we're talking about him. Like I really haven't noticed him a ton. And for a defensive defenseman, that's a really good thing. When he's not making mistakes, he's not, being a liability as a third pairing guy. He's just fitting in seamlessly, and we barely even notice it.
No, he's playing fantastic. Like we've said it, right? Is he a world beater? No, he's not. But as a guy who's coming in, especially as an injury replacement, just kind of holding down the fort, playing the 12 minutes or whatever he's going to play each game, he's everything that the Kraken could have asked for, doing that and fulfilling that. So, he's looked really good there. Let's see, Stratic, liking how many people are in here watching. Appreciate that. Autocat, I need a clip of Turbo singing along to The Offspring. Such a good little moment. There's a lot of good little moments in this one. I mean, they were just, the vibes were good.
Yeah, I couldn't clip them all. When was the Turbo one? I must have missed it. Was it somewhere in between all the different goals and everything? Yes. I felt like I had to clip 50 different things in this game.
Yeah. Coop spent the intermission breaks pursuing Habs Twitter just to entertain myself. Things were totally normal and measure there. Definitely not anarchy, lol. I know they were just starting to feel like they were pulling it together for this season, RJ. They had just built up their first winning streak of the year, winning 2 whole games in a row. And they came home and this happened. Good stuff.
Good stuff. And then really quick from Julia asking, what's outside your window?
Oh, yes. I was going to save that for later, but we can do that real quick because I have a really dope view here. So
whoa,
one, there's the Aquarium of Canada there with the Sharks, and then we've got Rogers Center where the Blue Jays play there, and then it's kind of, you can't really see because I have the light on, but like that pink strip, and then up there that's
whoa,
CN Tower.
okay,
so,
there it is.
Yeah, no, right there. And then Scotiabank, where the Leafs play, is like a 1 block away in the other direction, kind of like right in the thick of it all. And of course, you really can't see it because it's too dark. Right over there, the thing I'm definitely going to check out tomorrow, which is the train museum.
Awesome! What a location at this hotel. That's a great spot.
Yeah, no, CBC's right over there too. You probably can't see it, but it's right there, the big building for them and all that. So yeah, no, it's a dope hotel room.
Yeah. Does the CN Tower, would you say it's like a bigger version of the Space Needle? Because Jagger Firkus famously was up in the Space Needle and said it's like a mini CN Tower. How does it compare?
It does not feel like it's that like it's any bigger. I will say
Okay.
that. And I will say I feel like the CN Tower, seeing it up close and like really looking at it for the first time, because before I just didn't care. Like, who cares? It's just a little tower thing. They must be taller than the Space Needle, not because their like observation deck is higher, but because they have just so much above their observation deck. They just have then like a concrete pole that just goes up like another 30 feet for no reason.
Okay.
I don't understand it. It doesn't look great, although unlike the Space Needle, it has like a really dope like LED light show that it does every so often, and they've got like some jack o' lanterns and stuff like circling the top in lights and stuff to celebrate Halloween. So that I'll give it that.
Okay, that is pretty cool. And then Coop asking, are there any Kraken in that aquarium? Maybe a squid or two?
Maybe. I don't know. It's got to be underground because the building itself is very small, and I feel like they make a big deal about it around here, and I feel like there's got to be more like underground.
You just dig under the ground and just fill it up with water and put some
Exactly.
aquatic creatures in there.
Exactly. I will say this though, there is a store across the street from Scotiabank. So when we were just kind of exploring the area real quick, and it's a sporting, fan store, mostly Leafs and Raptors stuff because it's right across the street from Scotiabank. But what they do is they pull out and they have like a whole section for like whatever team is coming to town. So there's a bunch of Kraken gear out there, and they still have a ton of the Adidas jerseys marked down to $150 Canadian, which is
Whoa,
like
okay.
nothing basically because they have
That's like
fake money up
$5
here. Yeah, I know
American?
it's something like that. So just if people are in Canada, you could probably go and ask them about
Yeah.
their Adidas Kraken jerseys and try to
How
get
many
them cheap.
suitcases of these things can you bring back? I think I smell profit.
I know I really should have. I did not bring any extra bags with me,
Okay.
unfortunately. But yeah, I did think that was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Um, let's see. Brooke, does European music just mean ABBA on repeat? I mean, apparently at CPA it does.
Yeah, I guess. I mean,
Not that I'm
yeah, it's CPA
complaining.
for the fans. Yeah.
Yes.
But no, I haven't. Trying to think of what music I've heard from the room that I would classify as European. I think it's a lot of EDM stuff.
I was just gonna say it would be like EDM, like just
Yeah.
yeah, that's Sandstorm, whatever, over and over and over. Let's go. And then also from Brooke, can we talk about Wenberg winning the Sharks' first game of the season in overtime? Like, yeah, he's playing well there.
He is. He's the perfect fit there. What a comeback too from the Sharks. I don't know if you saw that last
It
night.
was good.
Down
Yeah.
4-1 with like 4 minutes to go. Good for them.
Yep. Coop, they seem talking about the Kraken now. They seem like they're really having fun and like playing with each other. Obviously, winning does that, but we've had losses too, and they all just seem way happier this year, in my opinion. I think the big thing, and I know like this was something that stuck with a couple of people that kind of reached out and talked with me. When I had said after last game that Jared McCann felt like last year's Jared McCann, right after that Carolina game, his post game presser was very much like last year, and he had the hat down low, he was looking low, he was just like, we just didn't get it done. I don't know why we didn't execute. We knew they were going to do this. We just didn't do what we were supposed to. All that kind of stuff. The fact that they're able to then come out and have fun like this and come back strong and all of that stuff, again, I know we're saying it a lot, but again, it was just so bad last year. It bears repeating. This is such a different group. There's the whole feel and culture and everything around this team is just so fundamentally different than last year in a positive way.
Right. And we've been saying it for over a month now, too. It was kind of clear even through the middle of training camp that that was the case, that just everybody's feeling better. And that culture shift that Joey mentioned, I think on like day 3 of training camp, has been very, very real.
Oh, absolutely. Um, Daniel here, and this was something that I did think about RJ, because we've talked about Joey having a good game, but we haven't talked about the fact that it's meant he started 3 games in a row now, which is significant. And so Daniel's
That's a
saying,
story in itself.
right? So Gru starts in Toronto, so Joey can start in Boston. Like, I, I mean, I don't know that that's necessarily how this all shook out, but I do think that it is worth talking about the fact that like, does this mean that Joey is the guy for Coach Dan?
I think it means that, at least to this point, it certainly does. Now, that can always change over the course of a season as guys play their way into or out of starts. But yes, I think that decision's been made pretty clearly that Joey is the guy right now. And he's earned it. And I think credit to Dan and the coaching staff for maybe recognizing that gap. Because even with Joey two games ago, throughout the last couple games, I still think there was a gap there between how well Joey was playing and how well Grubauer was playing, and that Joey was kind of clearly the better goalie. And I think they have recognized that, and he's certainly paid off that confidence the last couple games. The one thing I did want to add, and this was something that Jen is pointing out in chat and also like texted me about during the game, and I thought it might be a good point. Grubauer might be, again, I don't want to speculate. We don't know anything for sure. But remember in the Colorado game where he kind of went down after being taken a stick or something from Mikko Rantanen. And, I don't know. Maybe that actually did something. It could be that he would be dealing with a minor injury, but still, I think that aside, whether that's happening or not, Joey's the guy, and he's showing why.
Yeah, we had speculated that homestand was going to kind of be the last of the rotation, and then from there, if one guy had separated himself from the other, he would just kind of be the starter for the next little bit. That homestand did end on Joey starting that next game, which could be for many different reasons. And it ended with, even though that was a bad loss for the team, Dan saying that was his best game, right? Dan thought that game against Carolina was Joey's best game of the season so far. So, giving him the start to kick off the road trip, all that kind of stuff, it does just feel like Joey has ingratiated himself to Dan at this point and has, honestly just looked better.
And going forward too, why not just start Joey in Toronto and Joey again in Boston?
You could 5 straight starts. I guess it's early in the season. You don't have to worry about it.
I feel like that's pretty commonplace usually, though.
Well, it's like
we're not at crazy territory anyway.
No, it's commonplace for Connor Hellebuck. I don't know that's commonplace for everybody, but it's commonplace for teams that have a workhorse, right? Shesterkin would do that. Vasilevsky does that. Sorokin does that.
He's not going to do it regularly.
I don't know that
teams
in
after, but
right. I don't know that teams do that have such a tandem on paper do that. Yeah. But also,
actually, you have the Ottawa game in between, so it's going to be back-to-backs anyway.
Okay, so there you go.
So I'd go Joey Toronto and then like Gru for Ottawa and then Joey.
Yes, Boston. Because low key, when I saw that Joey was starting today, I did have a thought of like, I don't know that I love Gru against Toronto. Like that,
I don't.
That could be really bad actually. So that actually makes a lot of sense and that works out then. Jenna, hear me out. Hade's good luck charm, right? Kraken do bring up Cale Fleury, and then they brought up John Hayden for the road trip. Go out there, win 8-2. I mean, it's correlation, causation, maybe.
We know the guys love having him around.
That's true. That is true. B, I love to see McCann's work along the boards leading to that Riker goal. The dedication to hold on to the puck that whole time was so much fun to watch. It was. I know you talked about that. Good stuff. Thank you, Pablo, for the baseball score update there. I do like that. Maddie asking if Afra's at RJ's. My mom actually came up and is staying with the dogs and watching the dogs for us. So,
shout out to Dylan's mom. It would be a little tough to have Afra over here with Fuji. I don't think they've ever met each other. I don't know if they would get along.
Yeah. Ricky, did you go to the Hall of Fame? Plan is to go to the Hall of Fame either tomorrow or Friday, although now we have something booked on Friday, which I was going to maybe save for after the next one. But I'm in Ontario, RJ. I have to go to an OHL game. There was very limited options, but one of those options was to head up to Brampton for a Steelheads game where I could see Kraken prospects, Carson Reichoff, and Fibiger. So I'm
so excited for you.
I know.
I am so excited for you.
I know. I'm so pumped about that. So
that is awesome.
This month's prospect chat is going to be lit because I'll have an in-person viewing of a couple Kraken prospects.
Let's go.
That's going to be a lot of fun. Let's see. Daniel, so glad we were able to take advantage of a struggling goalie team. Seems like last year we might have got one and then let the guy find his footing. I agree with that because, again, last year so many of the pucks that we were throwing on net were just low danger chances that were perfect opportunities for a guy to get their footing.
Yeah, definitely. And although I will say in this one, a lot of the ones where he was struggling the most with where I'd say low danger chances as well, for some reason, he just could not track point shots. I don't know why, but just tonight could not track point shots. You saw it on the Montour goal, like the first one from the point. Something was just up with him.
Yeah. Kylie did the math. Means those Adidas Kraken jerseys are about $105. And they're like the
I think you should
legit,
buy a
they're the
suitcase
higher end
to
side.
put
No,
'em in.
really, honestly, it might be worth it. And then
I know my dad would be telling you, like, just get as many
yes,
as you can, resell them, just do it.
yes, that would be the thing to do. Your brother would probably say the same thing too.
Yeah.
um,
Entrepreneurial family.
yes, yes. And then I like the stuff in here talking about like what the European music could be. Maddie mentioning Swedish metal, Brooke saying, and Gojira, I hope. Trust me, if I heard Gojira or any Swedish metal coming out of that locker room, I would already know exactly who it came from. I would that'd be like five straight locker room openings of all that I could talk about in there with them. Unfortunately, I've not heard any of it yet.
Yeah, but you guys would all know. Dylan would be telling you for sure.
I would definitely be on that. Okay, Clayton, because I know some people were talking about how tall CN Tower is in here. Quick Google, the CN Tower is 1,815 feet. The Space Needle is 605 feet. Seattle's observation deck is 520 feet. The CN Lookout is 1,136 feet. Glass floor at 1,122, and the Sky Pod at 1,465. And so Clayton saying, so the CN is definitely taller. Okay, you
I
know
didn't
what
realize it
though?
was that much
Here's
taller.
here's the thing with it is when you're close to something that like tall, right? Whether it's 605 feet or 1,800 feet, which yeah, I did not realize is that so substantially taller. If you're that literally exactly 3 times taller, if you're when you're that close to it and you're just kind of looking at it, you're just looking at it up against the sky. So there's nothing to put it in perspective. It's just tall, right? Like there's nothing for me to look at really either of them and be like, oh, that's definitely taller than the Space Needle because it takes up more sky, right? Like
Right,
it's
right.
just taking up sky. Like that's all there is. So that's at least my excuse.
Okay. I don't know how
For
much I
thinking that.
buy that, but
My other excuse is just that, like, I do not care about just a tall tower. It's like, wherever it is, they're just tall towers. I don't
I don't know. I think the Space Needle's pretty cool.
care. Let's see. Prospect Chat's going to be an hour of shaky, zoomed in, hand cam iPhone video from Dylan's phone. So excited. Exactly. Just about. We are sitting at the glass. It's $38 to
Nice.
sit at the glass, so we are sitting at the glass.
Okay.
So
Maybe not as good for the scouting element of it, but
no, and we did it. We chose it very specifically. We're going to be on the in North Bay is the team that they're going to be playing. We'll be on the North Bay side. So Rykhoff will be coming down to shoot there twice, and we did choose the side because he's a lefty. So we are going to sit on the side of the ice, so like he would be looking at us. Like I could get the head-on shot of if he takes a shot to score, we'll be on the side where I will be able to see his face and not the numbers.
oh man, I love you considering that the handedness of Carson Raycobb for choosing seats. And
Right
hey, if
away,
anyone has those like OHL packages, I don't know if like DJ Singleton is in here, or whatever, and you watch the OHL games, see if you could spot Dylan along the glass.
yeah, that's true. That is true.
Wear something like a bright color, or I don't know, but wear something
and
noticeable.
my girlfriend correcting me. It was $38 Canadian. So
Wow.
yeah, there wasn't really much of an excuse not to go for the glass seats at that price. So bring a sign. I should bring a sign.
27 US dollars.
No, I should just brought a bunch of ECH stickers.
There you
Make a
go.
sign
Yeah.
with a bunch of ECH stickers. So there we go.
Just have your make a sign with your Kraken prospect rankings, and then but like make it like movable or something where you can
Yes.
like move Raykoff
Yes.
up if he does something cool.
And Fibiger. Not to
Fibiger,
be
yeah.
forgotten there. Lindsay, I watched Spokane Chiefs, always checking on how Berkeley Catton's doing. Yes, I'm excited to check out some of those games as well back in Washington. And whenever Spokane comes in to play like the T-Birds or Everett, I would love to go and see Berkeley Catton play. Brooke, I'm from Knoxville, Tennessee, which has the Sun Sphere, which is also a World's Fair relic, and it's small at 226 feet. That is small. But that does sound kind of neat. The Sun Sphere.
Yeah, I'm looking it
It's
up
the
to see what it
original
looks like.
sphere.
Ah, yes. Well, it's got it looks like a mosaic almost on the outside of the top of it here. Does it reflect the sun off of it? Does it shine in different directions based on like where the sun is?
Yeah. Mm.
Let us know, bro.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, don't get so many jerseys you'd go over the customs limit coming home from Stray Attic. Yes, I don't want anything to declare. Yes, I have 25 Seattle Kraken jerseys bringing back to sell. Actually, It's fine. Brooks saying not really.
Okay, that's good. I feel like it could actually create some like unwelcome beams of light if it was done wrong.
Yes, yes. And everyone's saying also Space Needle is not next to a lot of other buildings for reference. I mean, it like sort of is, but like I said, I'm close to CN Tower, so like just seeing it up close, I can only crane my neck back so far, right? I have to do it the same for both of them. So
Well, it looks like with how many floors up you are, maybe it is about the same height to you, the top
maybe,
of it, as
yes,
if you were on the ground in Seattle.
yes, maybe. Um, Brooks saying it's green on the inside because the gold on the windows fades weird. Lol. That is really interesting.
Oh wait, it was in the Brooke mentioning it was in The
It was in
Simpsons.
the-
Oh, I think I
yeah,
remember that episode, right, where they were like Bart and his friends rent a car and try and go to the World's Fair,
yes,
but it's been over for however many years, and they get there and the Sun Sphere is still there.
that's pretty good. Let's see. I mean, there's like a couple things here. Let's see. Where was one? Oh yeah, Maddie, new giveaway idea smuggled in from Canada jerseys.
There you
That
go.
would do it.
And then Rebecca, the 25 jerseys in a
Yeah,
case of citrus-based Gatorades declare.
exactly. Exactly. Andrew, game at Queen Anne Beer Hall was great. This is super chat. Thank you very much, Andrew. Meeting people is a lot of fun, especially when you can talk about hockey and skating and capitalism in the NHL.
Let's go.
But that's fantastic. I'm glad you had a great time at Queen Anne Beer Hall, Andrew. It is a great place to watch the away games for sure, and because of all of those reasons.
Yeah, love hearing that from people when they have a good time at Queen Anne Beer Hall. I know we always do when we go, and that's just a great spot. And they help support us, so we love all that.
Yeah. Oh, definitely, definitely. Um, let's see. Stratic Space Needle has being first going for it. CN Tower has pure height going for it. Calgary Tower has nothing going for it. Plus is ugly as sin. I have never seen Calgary Tower, but I can imagine that the Calgary Tower doesn't have much going for it. Just
Yeah,
guessing there.
I don't know. I like the Saddle Dome. I do like that
I
about
do like the
Calgary. But
Saddle
yeah,
Dome. That is nice. And I will say the CN Tower, it's not just the height. Like I said, it's got a light show. That's kind of fun.
but the Calgary Tower is red. They light it up red.
Okay, but this was like doing like a whole rainbow routine and all sorts of cool stuff. It's got jack-o'-lanterns floating around the top. Like that's pretty cool. Just
But
saying.
red though.
But red, like the flames.
Yeah, you know.
Integration. Product integration or
Yeah.
whatever it is. IP. Um, yeah, Calgary has towers. I'm as surprised as you are, Maddie.
It has a tower.
It has a tower. That's true. It's like all the famous shots of whenever there's a national broadcast game in Winnipeg, and they would always do the you know the big helicopter view of the downtown where the stadium is, and then it was Winnipeg, and it'd be like five-story office buildings, and that's like downtown.
Yeah. Well, they have some. The Flames have 4 players over 6'5", so does that count?
Yeah, they are towers. Yes. Let's see. Coupe. So I don't want to poke fun at them, but how is it possible that Tanev and Gord were minus today when we literally scored 8 goals? That's so brutal. That they were like the one line that did not really generate anything. And I know there was only a handful of players that did not have points, but I believe it was them and Ty Cartier, and then Shane Wright and maybe Will Borgen.
Yeah, and a lot of ice time for those guys too, because they were out there a lot to kind of close out the game. And I think part of that is score effects. They weren't really out there when all the goals were generated in the first 10 minutes or so, and they were out there a lot when the team was just kind of trying to play defensively and just milk that one out.
Yes. And I think that's what happened here. And yeah, that Adam Larson also without a point in this one. Yeah, it is a little strange to see that on the score sheet here. It's just those guys at -1 after a game like this. But you know, they were I think was Yanni out there for one of the power play goals? One of those later power play goals?
I don't remember. I could look up the video and see, but I don't remember offhand.
Yeah. No, it is just a wild stat. I'm with you there, Coop, for sure. Yes, and that Montembeault that Montembeault shutout for the Leafs against the Leafs opening night was a long time ago now, Daniel. I'm sure it feels like that for him.
Yeah, and Becca's husband saying they loosened the jar.
Yes, yes, they did. Yes, they did. Uh,
Seriously, that is kind of their job in most games,
well,
right?
it
Is
is right. Like it's yeah.
proverbially loosen the jar.
Yeah, they're the fourth line. They're there to be an energy line when the Kraken needs it. They're there to make sure that bad things aren't happening. While in theory, for most teams, the better lines are resting. That's normally what the role of a fourth line would be. So, yeah. And then, geez, Maddie absolutely avoiding, uh, avoiding dodge a big bullet today. Not adding Montembeau to the fantasy team.
Good call.
Uh,
Very good call.
that would have really been a bad move. Um, yeah, I mean, is there anything else from the game here? I know we've been talking about towers and uh, foreign Gatorades and smuggling in Kraken jerseys, RJ. But is there anything else from the game? Like, I feel like we kind of covered it, right? A lot of positives. It shows how great this team is kind of working and gelling right now. I think the power play finding success was good to see. Right, they've been kind of picking it up here as of late. At one point, when they were 2 for 2, that meant they were like 3 for 8 for the past week, which I think was important. So I like that. It's just also I feel like there was also some elements like yeah, you beat up a really bad team that played bad, but again, you should. So like that's still a positive in a way. And then you kind of got away with a little bit defensively, especially early on.
Yeah, and I think you summed it up pretty well. This is one of those rare games where it actually is over after 10 or 11 minutes. And, the Habs put on a push, but realistically, they were never going to get back into this game with how they played over the full 60. And so I think that's just kind of how you have to look at it and really just celebrate it for the fun things at that point. Because at the end of the day, what it means is you get 2 points against a bad team, which is what you're supposed to do. And so that's the main takeaway from this one. The challenge gets a whole lot harder for the next one, and I think that's going to be a better measuring stick. But really, I mean, even the last like 40 minutes of this game, I don't think there's a ton of meaningful real takeaways from it.
No, there isn't. There isn't. Okay, we'll do a speed run here at the end because there's some stuff we're talking about here. One, I just love from Maddie the loose jar line. It's a solid
That's good. That's
solid
good.
nickname for sure. Andrew with another super chat. Really appreciate that, Andrew. Your podcasts are so much fun, even when we lose. You have that chemistry. Really appreciate that, Andrew. Stratic Eberly no hit streak continues. Don't know if you covered that important news. We had not added another shot block though,
That's
so
right.
it's going. It's
Yeah.
going. We'll
And
see.
then with the Ebbs is a lover, not a fighter, unless you hit Matty Beniers a little bit
Unless you
late.
hit Matty Beniers, in which case he's going to come in even if Matty doesn't want him
Yep.
to. So like that. And Angela Bugga came in late. Did anyone mention that Shane had a 70% face-off win percentage? We did, Angela Bug. So don't worry, got your boy covered there. Want to thank everybody for joining us for this one, having fun, being able to enjoy a big win like this. I think it was a lot of fun. It's really weird waiting forever for hockey to start here on the East Coast, RJ, and then like West Coast games are going on. It's a nice casual 11 o'clock now for me.
I know. Yeah. I mean, enjoy the last hour of your Tuesday.
Yeah, good stuff. But yeah, no, really excited to be able to spend this time and celebrate this win with everybody. Thanks so much for joining us. And I guess, well, you'll see everybody first on
Yep.
Thursday, and then I'll come in from Scotiabank.
Yeah. We'll see you from the next one.
Yes. See you, everybody.